Alright, and hello everyone, it is me, Jay Burns, and in this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you all how to make this bracelet right here, or actually, these bracelets right here. And these bracelets are my own original designs, and yeah, they are, but I'll get to that in a minute. And these bracelets here are called the Pebble Path bracelets. So, this bracelet is actually really old. The original tutorial I made for this bracelet was on the monster tail, and not sure if you can focus, if you can see that, but it says May 25th, 2014, and a link to the original tutorial will be in the description. That's an interesting video suggestion there, but anyway. And yeah, a link to the original tutorial will be in the description. So, also, another thing about the original tutorial is that I showed you how to make it on a monster tail. And, well, not everybody has a monster tail, so this tutorial here will be showing you how to make it on the Moon Loom, or actually any loom you have, as long as it has 2 pins. And if you've ever seen my how to make an alpha loom bracelet with any loom tutorial, then making this bracelet will actually be pretty easy for you. So you will need just any loom, as long as it has at least 2 pins. Depending on what loom you're using, you will need a hook. I'm going to be using the Moon Loom hook to go with the Moon Loom. Then you'll need a clip, and I'm pretty low on S clips, I only have these C clips, so I'm just going to be using a C clip. And then of course you will need rubber bands. And as you can see here, there are 3 groups. I'll explain what each one is. So the A group, the A bands, they're going to be the bands that are actually in the bracelet here. So they're going to be all the white bands, making up the triple single chains. Then the B rubber bands are going to be all the cap bands in the design, so the rainbow going around here. And then the C rubber bands are the connector bands, and they're the bands that connect the 3 rows of single chains, the 3 rows of A color bands together. And you can kind of see them in this bracelet because the white rubber bands, well, none of the rubber bands here are really rainbow loom bands, so they kind of got stretched out. Anyway, here's just the other example. So here on this example, it's the zebra, the black and white bands are the A bands, and then their little pastel rainbow going around are the B bands, and the C rubber bands are these gray bands that you can't see as well. So yeah. Right, so in the description I'll have the number of each type of band you'll need to complete the little, or actually to make about 1 inch of the bracelet. And yeah, so just go ahead, use the pause button to get the supplies you'll need, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So, to begin, you're going to want your loom so that you have the 2 pins you wish to use in front of you. If you're using a Moon Loom or any loom like it, then I would recommend using these first 2 pins that will be facing towards you when the arrow is pointing towards you. Or if you have a Moon Loom, when you have your loom so it's curving away from you, you would use the left side. Alright, and to start, we're going to start by getting an A color rubber band, and we're going to be making this band into a cap band. So, to do this, we'll just take the band and just twist it going across the 2 pins we're using, like this. Simple enough. Now we're going to get another A color band. Gonna put it on these 2 pins. And now we're going to go ahead and get our hook. And we're going to go ahead and loom. We're going to go ahead and loom this bottom band, which is our cap band. And then push this band down. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to get our first, we're going to go ahead and get our first B color band, and also another A color band. So first we're going to place the B color band, and to do this we're going to make a cap band on the pins, except we're just going to go ahead and make a cap band on the pins here. Then we're going to get the A color band, place it on top, and we're going to this time loom the bottom two rubber bands. So this A color band on the bottom and this B color band. Alright, now we're going to start adding our connector bands, or C color bands, but I'll be calling them connector bands in the tutorial. So first we're going to take a connector band, we're just going to set it on one of the two pins. I'm just going to put mine here on the left. Set it on one of the two pins, and then you'll get another B color band and another A color band. And just like before, you're going to get your B color band and place it first by making just a little, placing it just like you would a cap band here on your loom. And then get your A color band, stretch it across. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're first going to go ahead and get this connector band. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Okay, so when you place the cap band, we're actually going to need to twist it on one pin. So you'll just take the band, so make sure you take the B color band and the A color band off. You're going to take the B color band and just put it on either one of the two pins. It could be the same pin you put that connector band on. You're going to take it, put it on the pin, have your fingers also holding it. Then you'll just twist it, and that new shape you create that's not on your loom, you're going to just put it on there. Or you can do another thing if that's a little too tricky. You can make the cap band not on your loom, so you take the band like this, twist it, fold it like a book back on top of itself, and then you have your little cap band, and then you can put it on one of the two pins. Alright. Anyway, then you would place your A color band on top, and now we're going to loom. So first we're going to take our connector band, pull it up and over, then we're going to take our cap band, so this little B color band here, we're going to carefully pull that up and over, and then we're going to loom this bottom A color band on both pins. Alright, now we're going to do the same thing again. So here's the pattern. So first we get a connector band, we just set it on one of the two pins, then we get a cap band, or a B color band, and we make it into a cap band on one of the two pins, and then lastly you get an A color band and you stretch it across the two pins like normal, like a normal band. Then you get your hook. First we get this connector band, then we use our hook to get the B color band here, and then we're going to loom the bottom A color band on both pins. Oop, that fell over. Alright, there you go. And then you push these bands down a little bit, and you start to get this little single chain here with these weird bands just sticking out, which are your connector bands. And yeah, so you would just keep continuing that little pattern there until you made the bracelet long enough to fit around your wrist, or almost long enough. And I'm going to go ahead and show you the pattern one more time. And then I'm going to go ahead and do it an additional 3 times so that I can get it to be a little bit of a decent length. And then I'll show you how to add the other two rows of bands. So, the pattern is you take a connector band first. You just set it down on one of the 2 pins here. Then you get your B color band. You make it into a cap band on one of the 2 pins. Then you get an A color band and you stretch it across both of those pins there. And another little side note, it doesn't matter which pin you put your connector band on or which pin you put your B color band on at all, because you could even put your B color band over here on the right pin. So like this whole time I've been placing it on the left, but I could still put it over here on the right and it would make the same bracelet. All you would have to do is just make sure when you go to loom, you first get that connector band, then you get your hook and you loom this B color band next, and then you loom the bottom A color band on both sides. Then you push those bands down and the pattern starts over again. So I'm going to go ahead and continue doing this 3 more times, and then I'm going to show you how you close off this row and how you make the 2nd and 3rd rows. So just go ahead and continue. Use the pause button if you need to. And yeah. Alright, there we go. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you how you're going to close off this first row. So this first single chain once you finish making it. So, you've added another cap band there and connector band. Now what we're going to do is you'll want to have your clip nearby. And then you'll just get another A color band. And you're just going to place it here on top of the 2, so place it on these 2 pins above this other A color band. Get your hook and just loom the bottom A color band on both pins. So you're not adding any B color bands or any connector bands. And then we're going to bring both sides of this A color band here together. So you use your hook, you grab one side of the band and bring it over to the other side. Just like that. It's really easy. Just grab it. So I'll show you again. You can just grab it with your hook, pull it off the pin, not the hook, and then bring your hook with that band over to the other pin, with the other side of this band. And then all you have to do is get your clip and attach it to these bands here on that pin. And you can stretch these bands out to another pin to make it easier for you to place the clip on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And there we go. Once your clip's on there, you can just pull those bands off like I did. And now we're going to go ahead and start the second row. So, what you're going to want to do is make sure that you get all of your connector bands to be sticking out in the same direction. So I seem to have mine all going out like that. So make sure all your connector bands are sticking out all in the same direction. Your cap bands don't really matter as much. And yeah, so first we're going to start with the cap band we used for this first single chain. We're going to use the exact same one we used for this here for our middle chain. So we're going to take this cap band, so we're going to set it here on one of the two pins we're using. Then we're going to get an A color band, and for this single chain we're not going to be using any B color bands. Alright, anyway, so we're going to go ahead and place this A color band, get our hook, or you could even use your fingers, and what you'll do is you'll take this cap band underneath and pull it up and over the pins. And I recommend whenever you do this that whenever you put your cap band onto this new band, I would recommend making sure that your connector bands are facing up. So I'm going to go ahead and redo this. There we go. And actually how you can ensure this happens is you have your loom, just make sure that your connector bands are all pointing or on the side away from your loom, so they're not pointing in like this. You're pointing out. And there you go. Now if you have a round kind of loom, like a finger loom, then this wouldn't work as well. But anyway, once you have this here, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to add our next connector band, or our next A color band. So we're just going to get another A color band, place it across, and loop the bottom band, the bottom A color band here on both pins with our hook. Now we're going to start using our connector band. So we're going to find the first connector band that is closest to our loom right now. It's this one. We're just going to set it on one of the two pins, and you'll want to make sure that you use the same pin every time. So I'm going to be using the left. You can use the right side or the left side, doesn't matter. Using the left here. You'll get an A color band, stretch it across the two pins now. First you'll get that connector band up and over, and then you'll use your hook to loom the bottom band on both pins. And that's actually the pattern right there. So I'll go ahead and show you again. So first you find the connector band that's not a part of this single chain and is closest to your loom, and that's this one here. You're going to set it on one of these two pins, and I recommend using the same pin every time. So I'm going to be using the left. Just set it down like that. Don't twist it or anything. Then you get another A color band, you place it across. First you get this connector band here, pull that up and over, and then you loom the bottom band, the bottom A color band, which should be there, up and over the pins. And that's all you gotta do. So I'll go ahead and show you one last time, just in case, and then you can just go through and do this for the rest of whatever little chain you have already. So, steps for doing the middle row here is you find the next closest connector band to your loom, and the connector band that is not already a part of the new little single chain we're making. So that is this one here. Then what you're going to do is you're going to put it on one of these two pins. Make sure it's the same pin you've been using the whole time. I'm doing mine here on the left. Then, once you've done that, you get your A color band, stretch it across the two pins, and then we loom. And to loom, you just get this connector band first, pull it up and over, and then loom the bottom bands on both sides. And there you go. That's all you do. Just keep repeating that over and over till you finish the middle single chain and you've run out of connector bands. So I'm going to go ahead and do this 3 more times. Go ahead and continue as well. Use the pause button if you need to. Alright, there we go. So as you can see here, I don't have any more connector bands. And so, what this means is we just need to add one more rubber band. So, we're going to get another A color band. And since there are no more connector bands, we don't need to worry about adding one on one of the 2 pins. We're just going to take the A color band, stretch it across the 2 pins, and loom the bottom band on both of the pins here. Now we're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to bring one side of this band over to the other with our hook. So you grab one side of the band on one pin, carefully pull it off there, keep it on your hook, and then bring it over to the other side. Now we're just going to actually go ahead and use the same clip. And if you're using an S clip, you can use the other side of the clip, because for the last row we're going to do something a little bit special. So you can go ahead and use the same clip, but if you want to get another one, then you can. You're just going to attach the clip to those bands there, stretch them out a little bit if you need to, and then you can pull the bands off once your clip is on there. And now it's time to make the last row for your bracelet. So what you're going to do is you're going to pull all your connector bands out a little bit to one side and make sure they are sticking out on the side where you have just the single chain and none of the cat bands, none of the B color bands. So as you can see here, all my connector bands are sticking out this side where just the regular single chain is, and all the cat bands are down here on the bottom. And yeah. Alright, so once that's true for you, there we go. Oh gosh, things are falling over. Anyway, now what we're going to do is we're going to take our cat band, and it's going to be just like making the first row again, except we don't need to place any connector bands or get any more connector bands, and we don't have to make this first cat band here. So you're going to take your first little cat band, set it on one of the 2 pins you're using. We're going to get an A color band, stretch it across the 2 pins, loom this bottom little cat band we've made up and over, and then just like before, make sure your connector bands are sticking out so that they're facing up like this. Just makes it a little bit easier. And then we're going to continue. So we're going to go ahead and add our next B color band, or our first one. And for this one, we need to go ahead and just twist it and make it on one pin. Then we just get another A color band, stretched across these 2 pins here. Then, once you place that A color band, you're just going to use your hook, loop this B color band up and over, and then loop the bottom A color band up and over on both pins. Now we're going to go ahead and start adding our connector bands. So we're going to find the closest connector band to our loom. We're going to set it on one of the 2 pins. I like to use the left pin. And just like before, I recommend using the same pin every time. And once you got that connector band on there, you're going to get a B color band. Make it into a cap band on one of the 2 pins. Then get an A color band. Stretch it across these 2 pins like so. And then you're going to loom the connector band up and over, and also the cap band, so the new B color band here. Trying to make sure that these connector bands don't get all twisted up. There we go. And then you use your hook and you loom the bottom band on both pins. Alright, same thing again. Now we're going to find the next closest connector band, so closest to our loom, and that is not a part of this 3rd row yet. So that's this one here. Just going to set it here on the same pin we've been using, which for me is the left. Then we're going to get another B color band, turn it into a cap band on one of the 2 pins. Then we're going to get an A color band, place it going across these 2 pins here, and then we're going to loom the bottom bands. And, well, not the bottom bands, but first we're going to loom the connector band, and then we're going to loom the B color band, and then we're going to loom the bottom bands. Alright, and well, that's actually the pattern. So I'll go ahead and explain it 2 more times, and actually I'll go ahead and explain it just 1 more time. And then I'll leave you to finish off your bracelet. So, the pattern for making this bracelet, or the rest of this bracelet is you find the next closest connector band to your loom, and that is not a part of the last little single chain we're making here, and that's this one for me. You take that connector band, put it on one of the 2 pins, same one that you've been using is the one I recommend. Then you get a B color band, you make it into a cap band on one of the 2 pins. Finally, you get an A color band, stretch it across those 2 pins there, get your hook, and we'll start looming. And to loom, first you get that connector band up and over, and you get then the B color band up and over, and then you loom the bottom band, which should be an A color band, up and over on both sides. And that's all you do, and you just continue that over and over until you get to the end of your connector bands here. So yeah, so just go ahead and continue the little pattern. Use the pause button if you need to. And if you're still not sure what the pattern is, then just go back a couple minutes in the tutorial, just a minute or a few seconds, and to where I'm explaining it, and just follow those instructions again. So yeah, I'm gonna stop talking now. Alright, there we go. So now I'm out of connector bands here, and so what we're going to do is we're just going to get another A color band, stretch it across these two pins, and all we have to do is loom the bottom band on both sides here. Alright. Now we're going to do that little special thing that we need to do to close off the bracelet completely. So, what we're going to do, it's going to be a little bit tricky. We're going to look here at our clip, and we're going to figure out which two little loops here, because as you can see there's 4. And you'll just take the 2 off that are the same band, and that are also the rubber band that is part of the single chain on the opposite side of the bracelet. So, you'll be taking the band off that is not this middle here, so this side. And if you want to stick your hook through that band, just so you know what you're pulling off there, then you can do that. And I actually recommend doing that, so actually go ahead and do that. And then you can just pull the bands off the clip, and they'll be on your hook. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just stretch the band across, the 2 pins. So you'll take one side of this band here on your hook, you'll take that off first, then you'll put it on one pin, then you might want to hold that down while you put on the other side, on the other pin. Finally, we're going to take this band that's here, left on our clip, do the same thing again, take your hook, stick it going through that band, and then take the clip off, and then attach both sides, attach both sides of the band to one of the 2 clips, or pins. Like so. And finally, what we're going to do is we're going to get our last A color band that we should have. We're going to stretch it across these 2 pins. Make sure you still have your clip nearby. And then you'll just loop all the bottom bands on both sides of our loom here. And now it's all on this one band, and just like we did to close off the first and second rows, or single chains of the bracelet, we're going to take one side of this band off one pin, keep it on your hook, and bring it over to the other side on the other pin. Then we'll get our clip and we'll attach it to these little loops here, this little band on the pin, stretch it out if you need to. You take your clip, attach it, take the bands off once your clip is on. You can do a little bit of adjusting, and then you have your Pebble Path bracelet. Except I don't, because I didn't make mine long enough to be a bracelet. So anyway, I guess now is time for the outro. So I would like to thank you for watching my tutorial. Hopefully I showed you how to make the Pebble Path bracelet successfully on any loom, using any loom, so that way you don't need to use a monster tail. And if you would like to check out the older tutorial that was made back in 2014, so it's really old, I'll have a link to it in the description. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for this video, other than thanks for watching, and bye!